Hello, algoriters. It is Hump Day Wednesday, and court is back in session. I'm Al Reynolds, and this is the Court of Public Opinion. I'll be serving as your judge, and don't forget, you, the people, the viewers, will be serving as the jury. The Court of Public Opinion is a place where you, the people's voice, can and will always be heard, as well as we'll be teaching you a few things about the law. Tonight's show is going to explore the current state of hip hop and the rappers that are just blowing up in the urban communities. All right, we got a show packed full of fun stuff. Be sure to hit that like button. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you are subscribed, don't forget to hit the share button. Share a friend and tell them to come watch and learn as well. Also, turn on your notifications and jump down in these comments because we want to hear what you got to say, as well as answer any questions that you may have. We got a great show lined up for you today. And the two legal beagles that are joining me are the, who do we have tonight? Entertainment attorney Ashley Valenzuela. Welcome back
everybody.
To the Opinion. I know it's been a while, but we're glad to have you back because we're covering a whole bunch of, could be your future clients. All right. Also, we have with us the criminal defense attorney, Brian Ross. Welcome back to the Court of Public Opinion.
Don't hate me because I'm trying to figure out sixth grade geometry, y'all. You know I don't know what it means.
Man, come on. You've been, Mr. Ross almost was held into a contempt of court for being late. But we got him in here and all is well. Later on, we're going to have a special report from our civil attorney, Shatan Turner, who will be joining us at the top of the hour. Because we got breaking news, everybody. Breaking news just came out. That, let's see, what did the bailiff say? New York City Mayor Eric Adams has been indicted for federal corruption. And we're going to have the full story by our civil attorney, Shatan Turner, when she comes at the top of the hour. That's right. Fresh off the press, we have the New York City Mayor Eric Adams has been indicted following a federal corruption investigating. We're going to find out what this is going to mean for him, his term, and the constituents in the city of New York City, the world's favorite city. All right, before that, let's start with Kim Porter and her family. Kim Porter and the kids are potentially suing for this book that's out. And I want to talk about that. Kim Porter's children speak out on the book. We saw that Quincy left us a long message on Instagram talking about if anybody said anything about this being her book, they are lying. Anybody else that's speaking on the family is also not a friend. So they're being very vocal. Bailiff, can you put that picture back up that Kim's, what's the title of this book? Kim's Lost Words is not her words at all. All right, let me go to you, the criminal defense attorney, Brian Ross. Okay, so they are purporting, if I understand this correctly, that their mother had nothing to do with this. Their mother didn't authorize any of this, and that no part of this book is coming from any of her memoirs, any of her notes, or any of her accounts. If that's the case, what exactly would the Porter kids have the right to sue for?
It's absolutely astonishing that someone researched, drafted, proofread, and published something that the family, her children, direct heirs to her estate, say is not correct. I mean, given the Hollywood buzz about this, shouldn't it have come out a long time ago that this would be happening? So it's a bit shocking, but maybe they didn't know the complete text of it. So if they wanted to sue over this, you would be suing for what's called libel, L-I-B-E-L. If someone writes something about you that isn't true, you can sue them for libel. If someone says something about you that isn't true and they publish it in a public way and you have damages, they sue you for what's called slander. In this instance, it would be libel. But the question is, how did it get this far without anyone knowing? Right? Okay. It's not like this is a small thing. It's a huge thing.
Right, which resonates to a whole host of other stories that are circulating that are people coming forward about Diddy. Okay, so answer me this. Everybody's saying that there may be a defamation case here. So tell me, what do the kids have to prove in, oh, I guess that's libel, right? Libel is the same as defamation.
Same thing. Defamation has two elements, right? So you have either written defamation. Defamation is just defaming me, right?
Okay.
Or published defamation, which is libel. So in this instance, it'd be libel.
What about, can they sue for false endorsement, right? Publicity? Can they sue for fraud or misrepresentation? What about those other legal ramifications if they're saying that their mother did not have anything to do with any of this?
Elements of defamation are the defendant made a false statement. Start there. So they're saying, we got the book, we went to Amazon, we bought it. There's nothing that's true about our mom in this book, right? And then you had to make it known to a third party. Me, you, anyone else who read it would be the third party. And then it was disseminated through public communication. That's your publisher, right? The last part is the hardest part. That the plaintiffs, the children, their reputations suffered damage or harm. And then you bring up, well, first of all, what's your reputation, right? It's not like you're Will Smith's kid, Jaden Smith or Willow Smith, who have this acting job and they didn't get it because they said your mom is a thief, right?
Right, gotcha.
In this instance, what's your reputation? If you have, it's, as terrible as it may have been, if you don't have a reputation, you don't have a law, you don't have any damages. So what's their reputation? I don't know.
That's good. Okay. So let me ask one more question. So what if she did have a USB and, this USB was taken by someone and this person got a secondhand copy or paid for a copy of this USB and put some of her memoirs into this, but didn't cite it correctly? Could that be copyright infringement?
It could. You still have to have the authority to disseminate it, right? So I write about my life, which isn't very interesting to tell you the truth, right? I write about my very important life. I ain't got none of that. All right, y'all. Despite what the judge said about the last time I was near Diddy's house, I wasn't there. I want to correct that. I saw some of y'all's comments about how I was partying with Diddy. I was not there. I went back and watched the show.
What we're not going to do is lie in the court of public opinion. I was on that boat when you took me to Diddy's house, and you were close more than just ear and eye shot, counselor.
He had a lot, just for the record, for all y'all listeners who comment, he had a lot of vegetation. I couldn't see through, okay? But beyond that, right, if they take it and publish it, they have to, first of all, the first thing they have to prove is I didn't have a right to do it. There could be some hidden written contract that mom signed that speaks from the grave, and it might not be out there. If the publisher has this contract with the mom, and I don't know if they do, they don't have a duty to share it with the children. They don't have a duty to share it with Diddy. It's a written contract between two people, the publisher and or the author and her. So maybe she wanted that to happen, So I don't know. The kids the hard part is everyone will agree that this is horrifically traumatic for the children. You got to go to school and deal with this. You're on Miami Beach. He's a popular guy. You can't escape it. How's your dad? So you do feel bad for the kids.
Okay, let's go to you really quickly, Attorney Ashley. Talk to me about how Quincy's open letter, if you will, Quincy's statement of outrage, if you will, not saying that he's not warranted to have it, is totally opposite and against what his dad has been saying the last couple of days on Instagram. Who is the father? Her and Kim is the mother. What do you think about that? And would that affect the children's ability to also, because from what I understand, they're going after emotional distress. They're suing for emotional distress as well, or thinking about it. What are your thoughts on that? You might be mute.
So again, just like Brian said, it is a very unfortunate situation for all of the kids. There's life rights that are involved. Who knows if this person has a contract giving them the life rights? If, again, like Brian said, if that happened, there's there's really nothing that can overcome the fact that she signed and said that you do have my life rights, you can have this material, etc. But the fact that Quincy and his father are going back and forth, at the end of the day, Al B. Shore did not raise him. He actually wrote an open letter to Al B. Shore, saying, you know, I appreciate you giving me life, but my dad is Diddy. And so that's just an unfortunate lifelong battle that Quincy has had to face on his own.
I think what I'm looking for right here is I'm trying to say if they're going to go down this, and Brian, help me out here. If they're going to go down this emotional distress lane, you have to prove that somehow this book caused emotional distress to the kids and that it was intentional infliction, right? So they have to prove that they were intentions to harm them as kids of Kim Porter. Am I wrong in interpreting it that way?
Two types of emotional distress, alligators: intentional infliction of emotional distress and negligent infliction of emotional distress.
There we go.
Both require a psychological evaluation, medical reports, data, right? So the book was published and help me out, Judge, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, I think.
Maybe Monday. Monday is when it probably was published earlier, but you could get it on Amazon over the weekend. But I think we all came to know, either over the weekend or Monday. Algorators, drop down in the comment and let me know if I'm right on that. I think a lot of people started buying, it Monday, or I heard about it Sunday or Monday.
In the chambers, we were talking about when. And algorators, if you don't mind, Judge, me stepping out here. If you've read the book, any comments you have that may be clean about the book, we'd appreciate commenting on us later too. But in the end, remember, the hard part for them if they want to sue is going to be separating the emotional distress, and that's, remember, intentional or negligent, they've suffered from this actual happening, right? There's so much about their dad, out there. And they would have to segment it to say, well, I couldn't sleep. I had nightmares. I was vomiting. I couldn't go to school. I lost weight. I developed an illness solely because of this book. And
Got it.
I don't know how they could prove that. You put them on.
Emotional distress is really hard to prove.
Yeah, that seems like this is going to be really hard to prove. I do feel sorry for them because this does add to what they are already dealing with their dad. So to have these stories about their mother looming over them, it's just sad and unfortunate. We wish the family well, and definitely the minor kids. All right, next up, everybody, let's keep it going. Yo Gotti, welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. Yeah, I said Yo Gotti. Welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. And let me tell you why. Yo Gotti's association with Young Dolph's murder trial is significant because of their long-standing feud between the two Memphis rappers, which many believe may have contributed to the violent circumstances surrounding Young Dolph's death. Young Dolph's real name is Adolph Thornton Jr., was shot and killed in Memphis in November 2021. Now social media is having a field day because his present girlfriend, Miss Simpson, they're asking her to get rid of him, drop him, because her prior boyfriend was shot due to gun violence. All right, I'm gonna go to you, to Ashley. Talk to me a little bit about this case and tell me, why is Yo Gotti, even though he didn't pull the trigger, how did his name get drugged into this? And why is everyone pointing the finger at him as if he did pull the trigger?
So there was a court hearing on Monday. There were 3 people that were charged with the murder of Young Dolph back in 2021. One of them, his name is Cornelius Smith. He testified that there's a label, CMG, that's Yo Gotti's record label. One of the gentlemen, Govan, was trying to get a record deal for a gentleman named Johnson. And because of that, he tells Johnson and Smith, Yo Gotti's brother has a hit out on Young Dolph, and it's for $100,000. So they're thinking, okay, we can take him out and we can get you this record deal. And he just decided to tell everybody that information on Monday, which also, um, Big Juke is his brother. So Big Juke and Yo Gotti own the record label together. So that was their way of kind of getting into the CMG label. And he just decided to tell everybody the quote unquote truth
Okay.
on Monday. All of
Okay,
a
I'm
sudden.
confused now. Hold on. All right, you got me confused here. All right. Who is Hernandez Govin?
Hernandez Govin, he's one of the three that's charged with murder. He's charged with the planning of the murder.
Okay, now the two that pulled the trigger is Justin Johnson and Cornelius Smith, correct?
Yes.
Now, Hernan Govin had Justin believe that if he carried this out, he would get a record deal at CMG, which is Yo Gotti's record label.
Exactly. And it may not be, you know, if this happens, then this happens, but it was Gotti and Big Juke want this to happen. So I'm already working on this record label for you. If you make this happen, I'm sure you'll get the deal. That's what they're alleging.
Got it. So tell me, why is Yo Gotti? Why is everyone pointing the finger at Yo Gotti now? Is it because his brother coordinated it and they feel like it came from Yo Gotti's mouth? This is something that he had actually facilitated. Is that what the undercurrent is here, counselor?
It is where it's going towards. And also Big Juke, which is the brother, he was just murdered this year in January. So He was shot. He's not even around to point the finger to. So the only person left to do so is Gotti.
Attorney Brian Ross, tell me, as a criminal defense attorney, what is the point? What is the point of the defense attorney bringing up Yo Gotti?
Because it deflects off his client. Basically, his client is lack of a better word, he's snitching, right? So now Yo Gotti's name is in the mix of this. He's a big brand name, because I think the young man said he was promised, and Ashley, correct me if I'm wrong, like $100,000 or something to perform this hit, and then he got paid like $800.
He only got
or something.
800.
Right.
Man,
well, the deal is, well, there was
you could have washed my car for $800, bro. Like you know what I'm saying? Like for real. So
with all this rumble on social media, this could actually affect Yo Gotti's public image and reputation. No?
Oh, hardcore, and it could
for sure.
He could get indicted. I mean, who knows how far down the rabbit
there
hole
was
it goes.
Also. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but there was also back in 2017, even before Dolph was murdered, there was a shooting where Dolph was shot at in Los Angeles, and at that time, Yo Gotti was indicated. He wasn't arrested on it. He wasn't, held liable for it, but everybody was pointing the fingers towards Gotti in the 2017 shooting of Dolph. Even way before his murder. So it really is ongoing.
Let me ask you,
Judge, if I can say one thing, you can assure yourself that Yo Gotti is under USA surveillance.
Right. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Like he is the next Diddy. Like they are going through him in the background, and he is.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
I would in New York.
I don't know if they're living in New York, but you know what I thought about, counselor? Immediately what I thought about was I would be subpoenaing his cell phone, his text messages, his emails, his Instagram, any communication that he had with his brother. I would be looking at the communication with his brother to see if any point did he ask for this to happen? Did he check to see if it was actually carried out, and everything related to that? Because I would say he probably definitely needs to hire an attorney or lay low.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Now, the trade-off is the backside of it is you're going to say, you're going to listen to this man? He admitted to a murder. He's a murderer. So how credible is he? Of course he's going to say my name. He knew me. He met me at a party. We were at a Diddy party. There was no baby lotion when I was there. And he's calling me out left and right. All right? So let's keep it 100. I don't know the man. Never met the man. And I don't know why he's saying my name, but he's doing it obviously to save himself.
But the other interesting part to this is they have like an old, close to a 10-year history of beef and fighting and going back and forth and shots fired. There's multiple instances of shots fired that never ended in death. This ended in death. So that's going to be interesting to follow. All right, everybody, please welcome our fiery civil attorney, Shatan Turner. Shatan Turner, welcome to the Court of Public Opinion.
Hello. Can you hear me? Hey.
Yes.
Hey.
There
I
you
am
go.
late because I was celebrating my daughter's birthday and I had to put them all to bed.
Yay. Good
Nice.
job.
Okay,
Way to
you
be
get
a
a
mom.
good mom.
And 14.
Good mom award. All right, welcome to the Court of Public Opinion, Shatan. All right, everybody, these likes ain't liking. We have close to 300 people watching. Can you please hit that like button? Please hit that subscribe button. If you are subscribed, please hit that share button. Turn on your notifications and jump in those comments. Don't forget, tonight we have the briefcase for our attorney Brian Ross, the fire emoji for our fiery civil attorney Shatan Turner. And Ashley, remind me again. I think yours are the blue hearts.
It's the crown. It's the crown.
Crown. All right, the crown.
Crown.
And don't forget the blue crown or the crown in general. All right, the crown for the queen, the legal queen. That's right. How could I forget that? All right, before we move on, Shatan Turner, are you ready to give us an update on Eric Adams, the New York City mayor's indictment?
I can give you as much as I can. So here's the thing. His indictment and everything is under seal right now. So there's no paper trail that can be discovered at the moment about why he was indicted, but they are federal charges. It's after an extensive investigation. And so what we do know is that he has an idea of what happened, as well as those who had to produce documents. What he's saying is that he's being targeted because he's been fighting so hard for the people of New York, and he knew that once he started doing that, he'd be targeted. I don't understand how that story flies, though, because this is a historic indictment of a New York mayor. And unless none of the other ones have been fighting for New Yorkers, it's not clear to me why he would be targeted for that. But
Wow.
that's what
So-
he's saying.
So what happens if he's found guilty? What does his term end? Does the assistant mayor step in while he's been investigated? Does the assistant mayor step up? Does he step down? Does anyone know the protocol for when an indictment is formed against a public figure?
Well, isn't this funny that we have to confront this all the time? We have already confronted what happens when somebody who's running for president gets indicted. Do they get to go into office? Can they be elected? I mean, what is this world coming to now where this is a constant question about indictments against people who are supposed to serve us? I just am saying. But anyway,
Brian, Attorney Ross, you're talking and we can hear you. Go ahead, Shatan.
as it relates to his office and whether he loses his post because of an indictment, I can check on that while we're on the call. It's highly unlikely, though, that an indictment alone would result in that, simply because it's not a conviction. So most of the employment law stuff that exists to help people promote good behavior, it's all premised on convictions, because otherwise, people get falsely accused and all the rest of it. The real question is whether he would be able to effectively lead if he were indicted. And remember, we had Governor Cuomo, so New York's kind of had a bad run, I guess. And Trump's also a New Yorker, right? So
Right.
Anyway, New Yorkers seem to be getting into a lot of trouble lately. Cuomo resigned, and that would be the better course of valor, because what you don't want when you're an elected official is to have your criminal activities be a distraction from the job.
That's right, public trust. That's right, impact on public trust. So the legal consequences could possibly be fine. He could possibly go to prison, right? And other penalties. So that's interesting. That's very, very interesting. That's very, very interesting. Will it affect the governance at all of the mayor level? Because, a lot of cities have experienced like illegal activity, criminal activity, Mayor Barry in Washington, D.C., but we know he was able, after being caught with crack in a hotel with well, not allegedly, it was shown with a call lady, if you would, a lady of the night, he was able to come back and run for a second term.
Yes.
So,
and the reason for that is because the rules related to who can run for offices like mayor have to do with your citizenship, right? America believes that once you have served your time, that matter is behind you. And so that's why Mayor Barry was able to run. It's a function of whether or not the people would elect him to be mayor again, as opposed to whether his misdeeds that occurred during a prior term should effectively prevent him from running. That's at least what it's been historic. I think these rules have been in place for a long time, and someone might want to revisit them, because I struggle sometimes to figure out what I can teach my kids about what they can do and not do, right? Because to your point, right, Barry was smoking crack, screwing somebody who wasn't his wife, and his wife was pretty. Not that it matters, but she was pretty, right? And now you have this federal indictment of Eric Adams, and you have Trump, who's like been convicted of lying, and he's got a stripper in the story. Like, really, what are the kids supposed to grow up to aspire to?
I agree. I agree.
Who get caught up in mess, right? So you can't even say, look to the people in the church. I don't know. I don't know.
All right, Attorney Ross, what you got to say about that? You have kids.
I mean, honestly, it sounds like Eric Adams is being indicted, and I haven't. And Attorney Chatan's correct; it's still under seal. But it sounds like he's being indicted for campaign fraud. That he was taking illegal money from something in Turkey in an effort to affect the election in violation of campaign finance laws. So yeah, he's not a murderer, right? But it has teeth. And so the ironic part about this is, if on the show last week, we were talking about why, the court asked, why is Diddy indicted in Manhattan? What is it with the Southern District of New York? Well, guess where Mayor Adams is indicted at? Southern District.
The same place. They working overtime. Jeez,
yeah, they are.
Like that prosecutor must have some like aspirations, right?
Right. He wants to write a New York Times bestseller, because he takes down the mayor, and you're taking down the mayor of New York City, and you're taking down the president, or what many people would call, the king of hip hop. Oh boy, this is crazy. All right, everybody, keeping it moving. Freddie Lee Throne, the father of the teenager who shot and killed rapper PNB Rock. Welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. You were sentenced to 31 years to life in connection with the murder of PNB Rock. He didn't shoot the gun. His son did, but his teenage son was reportedly sentenced to juvenile detention because he was underage when it happened. Attorney Ashley, can you bring us up to date on this particular case? And are we shocked that the father and not the mother got away with it? She was in the car though, correct? That the father got 31 years to life because of why?
So we talked about this actually one of the last times I was on here. He was sentenced to 31 years to life after he drove the son to Roscoe's and also set up the getaway car. The son who was determined to not.
I think hold on, Attorney Ashley. I think we're having a hard time hearing you. You are very muffled. Let's go to you, criminal attorney Ross. Talk to me about, in this particular case, what I'm not understanding and I want clarity with here is that the father who and the mother, who allegedly were considered, co-conspirators, why did he get so many years? Why did he get 31 years to life in connection with this murder when he did not shoot the gun that killed PNB Rock? If you're talking, you're on mute.
People have to remember that PNB Rock had what's called an IEP, an individual educational plan. Now, we don't get to look at that IEP because it's for people who have a lot of things, developmental disorders, ADHD, it could be a lot of stuff. But when you have that, you are labeled as a person who has some it's not a disability. That wouldn't be fair. When his dad, quote unquote, encouraged him to go into this restaurant or wherever it was and commit this crime, he committed a higher standard of crime than the person who actually did it.
How? Why?
Here's why. The law in most jurisdictions is designed to protect people who have some sort of disadvantage. That's the only word I would tell you. So
Okay.
if you live with your grandmother, right,
Mhm.
and you steal from your brother in that house, who is a perfectly formed 25-year-old male, fine, the crime is 5 years. But if you steal from your elderly 85, 90-year-old grandmother, it's called an aggravating circumstance, and therefore your punishment doubles, triples, quadruples. based upon the
Wow.
law. In this
didn't know that.
instance, you have to believe that the logic behind the extensive sentencing was related to PMB's history as
Not
a
PMB,
mentally
not in PMB
Right.
is a rapper. You mean
the
you mean
rapper,
the son?
the son. Thank you for
Yeah.
correcting me, Your Honor.
I got
Thank you
you,
for
Your
correcting me, Your Honor. Was based upon that. And so you look at it, go in there and take that chain. And then he disappears. There's some car accident, all these weird details. And you add all that up, and the prosecutors are going to show you no love in the club over that. No love in the club over that. So that's what you're thinking about when it comes to
Guys,
this.
so if I'm hearing you correctly, the father, because he took advantage of we would say, let's call it a special needs child.
Yes.
That's why his sentence is so high. It's so
Absolutely.
so extreme. Okay, civil attorney Turner, tell me
Yes.
if you were representing Freddie Lee Throne, the father, what would be your argument in your appeal? Because from what I understand, there is an appeal on this particular case.
Well, you'd have to argue mistakes that are made by the trial court. Isn't that the posture that you'd be in? Would it be de novo, Attorney Ross, that
would
they
be.
would be?
It would
Okay,
be.
so yeah, it's the ability. So I have some things I could say for sensational reasons, just for the show, that wouldn't be true. Like the argument that I would make if I were allowed is, hey, I was just going for some ice cream. I don't know why he went into Roscoe's shooting people, right? That's would be what I would say, but that's an argument of fact that you can't make on the appeal level. Appeals are really kind of mechanical and dry because you're trying to look to see what mistakes the trial court made. Did they abuse their discretion? So one of the things you might say is that the point that you were making, the individual who actually committed the crime received a short sentence and was able to go to juvenile detention. And so this won't even carry with them for the rest of their life. And you're having the person who drove the car, who might not even have been aware of the intent of the person when they went into Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles to do crime, right? And when he drove away, he was just freaking out because he was stressed out by the circumstances and he did not intend to be an accessory after the fact. That would be the argument that you would make. I don't know that it's going to go very far. I actually have not seen for this case, and maybe one of the other attorneys has, what the motive was for all of this in the first place and how these grown people even got involved. That's part of the reason why I was asserting like the ice cream argument, because it makes no sense. I love my children more than I love life itself. And if they go committing murder, they will be walking out of Roscoe's and get arrested by the police because I'm not driving them anywhere.
Right. I would let me see. Lord, I'm gonna pray about this. If I was Freddie Lee Throne, okay, I would say, listen, it's documented. My child for 17 years has had a learning disorder. I mean, he's mentally, got some capacity issues. I told him to rob the train. I didn't tell him to kill the boy. He went in there, he freaked out. And he's mentally unstable. We know that. The school's been telling us that for 15 years. He's the one that pulled the gun out. He's the one that overreacted, and he shot the guy. And the reason why I drove off was because I couldn't believe he shot him.
Ding, ding, ding. And the prosecutor's going to come and say, that's all great. We appreciate your grandeur. However, the fact that you told your son, who's a juvenile with an IEP, to go commit a felony, you have now been part of what's called the felony murder rule. Algorators, listen up.
Jeez.
If you or your friends, which I know you won't because you're smart enough to be on this show and smart enough not to do this, but if you choose to go commit a felony and someone dies, whether by hook or crook, accident or intentional, you are subject to murder 2, not murder 1, which means you can get a long time. Aggravating circumstances could be the person you didn't intend to murder was pregnant. You go in there with your friends to rob to go to Macy's, we're going to run out of Macy's. We're going to steal some stuff. The stuff you steal is more than $300. You've now committed a felony called grand theft. On the way out, you're driving. There's a woman pushing her baby across the street. She's pregnant. You run her over. You've aggravated and committed felony murder. You are now on the hook for felony 1 of stealing, felony 2 of aggravated murder, and felony 3 for killing a pregnant woman. That will compound, and you're going to jail for a long time.
Wow.
That's the problem, dude.
All right. Well, we see one attorney decided to show up and do work and show out today. All right, Attorney Ross, even though you were late.
I cannot compete where I don't compare.
I've been in court all week, y'all.
You still on a high
shows.
court, I see.
Some of the algoritmors just want you to know that they're good Christian folk, and it's not them and it's not their friends that are going to be caught up in some felony murder. They're putting that all in the chat. Like, don't look down on us. I just want you to know these some good Christian viewers we got here.
Ashley, tell them if your client starts off with "see what happened was," oh, you going to jail.
He going to jail.
All right, there you go. You heard it right here, everybody. Let's throw some of those briefcases in that emoji into the chat for all that good information and knowledge that Attorney Ross has dropped for us. Next up is a sad case to me, the U.S. Supreme Court. Welcome to the court of public opinion. You allowed Missouri to proceed with the execution of death row inmate Marcellus Williams, despite new DNA evidence, because it declined to intervene. I'm gonna go to you, Attorney Shatan Turner. Okay, so let me understand this. So in the 9th hour, we understand that the governor of Missouri, right, put a temporary stay because he said, okay, you guys found this new, there's no DNA evidence. He put a temporary stay, and he appointed a special board to review the DNA evidence. Why would the governor allow and do a temporary stay to review the evidence, and the evidence came back that it did not match Williams? How did the man end up being euthanized or electrocuted or sent to death anyway? How does this happen?
It's very sad. It's a very sad case. It's just an example that the system sometimes can fail when it's left to its own devices, because it's designed to promote what I was saying initially when I was asking Attorney Ross about the appeal standard, right? Like when you appeal, there are limitations to what the arguments that can be made. And the governor stayed the execution to buy time, so that he was actually trying to, and I haven't seen interviews with the governor after this happened, but I imagine the governor was trying to give this guy the best shot possible,
right, to stay out the jail,
avoid getting executed. When it went to the Supreme Court, the dissenters said they would have supported delay, but they were kind of confined by the legal rules, and that's what happened. And so this is cliched, but I'll say it anyway. It's kind of like the lesson your grandparents told you, like the best way to not get in big trouble is to not get in trouble, right? And so it was kind of just a train that was in motion once he got convicted.
Okay. Okay. Let me ask this, and I know this is off base, but I have to ask it. Attorney Ross, now you've done liability work before. If Marcellus had a life insurance policy, but he was executed by the state, can the family still get the insurance money?
No.
Why?
Because life insurance policies specifically exclude death because of some felony or misdemeanor. They specifically exclude intentional acts. So that life insurance policy would have been void, or they wouldn't have voided it yet, because let's suppose the governor granted him clemency, gets out, and then he has a heart attack, they would have to pay it out. But if the family attempts to collect it now, they would not get any benefit from it. But I'm gonna tell you, it's sad. It's a sad one. This one judge really beat me up last night. Even the Supreme Court of the United States, I don't know why they didn't try harder to stop this from happening. I mean, Sonia Sotomayor tried, but they got it wrong. They got it. If in my mind, on the death penalty, if you have any inkling that you could be wrong,
yeah, I agree with that, because they made it very clear in their letter that there was no violation of constitutional rights. But how is that possible? They said that it was no clear violation of constitutional rights. Clearly, there's a violation of constitutional rights if you have new evidence that's showing that it's not his. But the prosecutor said, "Hey, but it may not be his. It may not be his DNA, but we still have him, you know, in the vicinity, or we still have other things that trumps the DNA argument," which I'm completely confused. But the reason why I brought that up is because there are some insurance agents, and I know my algorithm are probably familiar with this, that are targeting families of incarcerated men, saying that they need to get insurance on their family member or their lover or their husband and wife while in prison, so that if anything happens, the family will still be taken care of. Brian, can you talk to me about if it was maybe he was in prison and he got stabbed and died, or maybe he was in prison and he died from bad health? Is it still excluded from collecting the insurance policy because they were prisoners?
Purely hypothetically speaking, if you had a life insurance policy, which I've encouraged all the algoriters to go out and get one, there, and the judge can tell you they're not that expensive, you can afford it. All right. But if you take a life insurance policy and you're in jail for something, and in jail you are stabbed, in theory, that life insurance policy should pay out. You may have to hire a powerful attorney like Attorney Ashley or Attorney Shaitan to enforce it, right? But they should pay it out if the act causing death was not intentional. Even suicide, life insurance policies pay out suicide as long as the policy is greater than 2 years old. So if you commit suicide, the policy is over 2 years, you can still get paid out on it most times.
Okay, so all right, so if I hear you correctly, I do agree with you. We should all have life insurance policies, but it may not be a bad idea if you have a loved one that's going to prison for a long period of time to get a life insurance policy, is what I'm hearing. But
Yes,
if they're on death row and could be forced to execution, then that life insurance policy is void and void. All right, everybody, let's keep it moving. Moving on to our next story. G. Herbo, welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. You failed to pay the law firm that helped you avoid 20 years prison sentence.
He's my worst nightmare.
All right, Attorney Ashley, I can hear you now. Talk to me about this decision. Why would this rapper known as Herbert, his real name is Herbert Wright III, why would you not pay the law firm that kept you out of prison for 20 years?
So at the end of the day, when you hire an attorney, you sign a contract. So of course, he broke that contract by not paying him. The attorney got him out. He was facing up to 20 years, and he got him out on probation with 6 figures in fines, which of course is a lot better than 20 years. The last payment that he made, though, was last December in 2023. So in addition to him knowing what he owes, in addition to him making payments, there's interest. Every time a client doesn't pay for 30 days, interest is added on. So I think they're only asking for 1.2% each month, but 1.2% of $237,000. It's just going to keep getting higher. But as far as a reason, he already had to pay more than that in restitution, which he was ordered to by the probation. So,
Attorney Ross, I want to know, he's an artist. Like, can the law firm, obviously they can put a lien against his personal assets. Are his royalties open or vulnerable to be also put a lien against? What are the things that you can put a lien against in this particular case to get your money back?
I'm putting a lien against his soul. Pay my money. All right. Without me, you wouldn't have your fancy mink coat, your gold chains, and your fake Lamborghini. Pay me my money, man. Stop playing around. For real. They can do a lot. It's like any other business. If you take your car to the mechanic and you don't pay them out, they can place a lien on the car and they can continue to go after your other assets. We as attorneys, as a matter of fact, the bar associations give us a very high right to do it. And you see this in these probate cases where someone dies and they collect out of the estate. Well, if you look at the order of things that should be paid out in a probate, first are the medical bills, second are the lawyers. So we have a hierarchy of getting paid, and we can absolutely go after that money. Pay your lawyer, people. Stop playing around.
Let me ask you this. Is it true that the lawyer can also garnish the income from like his concerts and his royalties and even his record sales?
I will hire Ashley, and she will be there at the door with a chaton
Period.
collecting dollars off those tickets. We'll have a sign that says "Free Brian." Absolutely, we can get that money. Give me that bag.
And
I'm sorry. How interesting.
That money.
How
More money,
interesting
man.
is that? I don't understand. How interesting is that? Like, what is he thinking? Like, this is a lawyer is who you don't want to mess with. That's who you want to pay. Because think about it. Any concert that he's publicly promoting, because he has to promote it, that lawyer will know about it and will go straight to that venue and get their money.
Absolutely, we're experts at it.
And like mechanically speaking, it's really kind of hard to deprive people of money they're owed, right? Unless you're the game and you still owe that money to that woman for all these years. Get herself a good one. Anyway, I digress. You go to court, you prove that you're owed, you get a judgment, and then the court garnishes the wages from the person. It's a little bit trickier when they're an independent contractor because they don't have W-2, so you just don't go to the employee or to the employer. But you can go to the bank account and you can get your money. So you can run, but you can't hide. And to your point, Al, everybody needs to learn this, algoriters. You don't F with lawyers. Remember that movie Adventures in Babysitting when they said don't F with the babysitter? You really don't F with lawyers.
They can really make your life heck. All right, everybody, before we close out tonight, I need for you guys to throw some questions in the chat, please. Be sure to hit that like button. Our likes aren't liking. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. And if you are subscribed, hit the share button. Turn on your notifications. Got some good news coming this Friday. A new show is coming to at the Al Reynolds, and I can't wait to share it with you. Last up, God darn it. P. Diddy, love, ED, Puffy. Welcome back to the court of public opinion. Welcome back to the court of public opinion. We just might as well just keep a portion of the show specifically for P. Diddy. Well, in this particular case, there's a young woman who's come forward. Her name is Thalia Graver. She said that she was raped by Diddy and one of his security guards or one of his associates. Now, the problem here isn't not that just another person has come forward, but she's represented by the high-profile attorney, Gloria Allred. They are accusing Sean Diddy Combs of rape. I'm going to go to our criminal defense attorney, Brian Ross, first. Brian, tell us, because we know you don't want Gloria Allred on any public platform sitting beside any woman ever if you're representing Diddy with these type of accusations. What does this mean to the defense?
It means that he has problems. And when you and I started this show talking about Diddy do it probably January of this year, maybe, we were fortunate, blessed to get going. What did we say from the beginning? Too many witnesses. And it's becoming redundant and old. And now, people, there's a thing called modus operandi. When you're dealing with crimes of passion, you're allowed to bring in specific acts, reputation, and opinion.
Wow.
That form of evidence, it varies from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. But in most jurisdictions, all three forms are allowed. And if that can come in, you might be able to bring in the video of Cassie Ventura. You might be able to bring in the man who sued him, the producer. You might be able to bring in all these things that have come up because they're considered bad acts. Now, whether they're true or not, it's motions in limine, which is things whether it comes in or not. But you're going to bring it up. You're going to throw all this in there. And don't think that because, hey, y'all, don't think that because Diddy's in jail, you can't depose him. You can get in there. The only saving grace Diddy has is that the U.S. attorney may pick this case up, attach it to an amended petition, indictment, and you can't talk about it till it's over. But this is going to come out.
Oh, until their case is over. Let me tell you what really scares me about this particular case. She is so powerful that we all know that when this woman sits beside you and do a press conference, she really does encourage and empower other women to come forward as well. All her cases that she has set beside an accused person for rape or some type of harassment or abuse, they always come with more cases because she is so powerful. She's such an influencer in the case of harassment, especially against women, that she really empowers other women to come forward. Attorney Shaitan, you're the civil attorney, right? So this goes beyond just criminal now. Like with this woman giving this lady such validity, right? This could really open up another Pandora box of not only criminal liability, but also civil damages, correct?
Absolutely. And if you recall, Cassie did settle with him civilly. So she's continuing a theme. Apparently, Thalia is the 11th victim that has come forward. I suspect there are many more because, as Brian indicated, modus operandi is a legal theory and it's a thing. People tend to have a pattern of how they move in the world. People who are consistently accused, and allegedly, this is all alleged. Puffy deserves his day in court. He is innocent until proven guilty. And what I know enough for now is that ain't no way I'd be taking my little tail feather to a freak off, because what happens at the freak off typically involves you getting drugged, getting bent over and waking up and wondering what happened, right? And not bent over in the good way. And so it's clear that he has had a problem for a long time. And I think only more people are going to come forward, because when you think about it, given the duration of these allegations, she's saying this happened in 2001, right? This Cassie thing happened like 8 years or so ago. There are decades where P. Diddy had power, he had access, and he had lots of baby oil to use. And I think one of the things that I found out when I was also reading, just so you guys know, people have been wondering why 1,000 bottles of baby oil. Who needs that much baby oil? Apparently, Diddy buys in bulk, and he just wanted to save money. That's the story that his lawyer is floating. And I'm not lying about that. Look it up.
I thought that
I saw the video.
I just thought that was ridiculous and stupid, and he shouldn't be talking about that. I mean, it's just.
You like a deal?
I might have fired him.
Now, look, I would have fired him for that ridiculousness too, because it's just ridiculous. But what I wanted to bring, the reason why I wanted to bring in the importance of Gloria is because she comes with a healthy price tag. Like, that woman asked for more than $30 million. I mean, I don't know how she gets it, but you guys really should look her up and look at the heavy hitting cases that she's gotten. This, to me, brings a public attention to Diddy in a different way, and I think, am I wrong, Attorney Ross, in thinking that it elevates the case? And it serves as a significant threat for his defense team. And
I mean, it's horrific for them, right? It's horrific for them. It's like a prosecutor seeing Johnny Cochran, the late Johnny Cochran, walk into a courtroom. You got a problem.
Right.
You got a problem. And she's known that she can try a case. And honestly, Diddy needs to settle all these. I mean, I guess in his mind, he's like, if I'm going to go to jail, I'm not selling anyone, anybody. But you need to try and you still need to fight to get rid of all this stuff. Like,
Yeah, I
get rid
agree.
of this stuff. You're not a poor person. Get rid of this stuff.
And the
So
message
let me.
to Gloria in terms of her influence on the civil side, because you were kind of wanted to clarify those explosions between criminal and civil, Your Honor, is that her presence is a signal to Diddy that regardless of whether he maintains his liberty, he's going to be broke, because she doesn't take cases that she's going to lose. So to your point, whether it's one victim who's going to sue him civilly or if others come forward, she knows that she's going to get paid and he knows that he's going to have to pay. That's
Exactly. And the thing that's very interesting to me is this woman is historic for having more than one victim in her pocket. That's what it's like. We all need to sit up on this. The fact that she brought this to a freaking press conference, she's getting ready to set Diddy up for a possible additional person that's going to follow this that she's taking on as well. All right, alligators, you got to stay tuned. We gave you a hot night tonight with these cases in the hip hop community. Is hip hop going down? What's going on with our rappers? What's going on with our influencers? Stay tuned right here, because in the court of public opinion, we're going to tell you it's at this point that we're going to go to our questions that are from you, the people, and we're going to start with Kenny, Kenni Black. Will we be issuing a fine to the late attorney? Well, all right. Which one? No, we knew Shaitan was going to be late.
No.
We're going to let him off this time, Kenny Black, because the late attorney actually dropped some good knowledge for us tonight, especially with the insurance policies for our incarcerated brothers and sisters. Be sure anyone who has family members check on their insurance policies. Okay, Daphne says, is Miss Shaitan's hair shaved or in a ponytail?
It's a bun.
All right, bun. All right, Melina_NC. That's reasonable doubt, right? I'm not sure which case you're talking about. Oh, with the
Exactly.
Reasonable doubt needed to occur during the jury trial. But if you go back and look at this case, you know what the problem is? He had 11 all-white jurors determining his fate. I don't believe that represents the community. It certainly doesn't represent the St. Louis Cardinals baseball team. And I need it to represent who really reflects the community. He should have. You're going to tell me you couldn't find one? And what's even scarier about this, judge, and no we're out of time, is that the prosecutors in this case amended the charge from something that carried a capital sentence of death to something that carried life in prison. And the attorney general, they changed it. And the attorney general appealed that decision and won, leading to the death penalty.
That just makes me feel like, honestly, that makes me feel like someone wanted to get an execution on their watch.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's what it feels like.
The three.
All right, let's keep going. Weepa Loco, WEPA LOCO. Wasn't the family there saying he didn't do it? Yes, the family was there saying that he didn't do it. All right, Electric Lady 369 said, why didn't come out with her lawsuit? Why didn't come out with her lawsuit around the same time as Cassie?
She's talking about Thalia.
Yeah.
Oh, Thalia. Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
She addressed that in her press conference. She said that there was too much trauma.
And it is, but Gloria's making folks feel more comfortable now.
That's right. That's the sad part. I'm telling you that she's got another woman. She's got another woman in the docket. I would not be surprised if she has one or two more women that she's going to unveil. All right, Electric Lady 369. Sorry. And Dumornay, please clarify what's going on with Mayor Adams. Who would like to take the
He's going to be in a lot of trouble. That's what's going on with him. So he has been indicted on charges that they've not disclosed yet because they're under seal. Attorney Ross reported that It's believed that it has to do with him engaging in improper activity with the Turkish election, which is curious to me about why he cared so much he was going to break the law. So that may come out too. And Mayor Adams is saying that the only reason that he's facing any trouble at all is because he fought too hard for the people of New York.
Wow. Ooh, this is just so unfortunate. They've been coming for this man since he started his tenure as mayor.
But unless it's false, and I really hope it is. I hope it's false, and it wouldn't shock anybody with half a brain to find that some conspiracy theory created this story and he got found not guilty. We'd all be happy. But beyond that, you got to know they're coming for you, and you got to govern yourself in a way to avoid it. I'm not saying he did anything wrong, but
right. Okay. All right. Let's keep going. Sonny Clark said, "Did any of you guys read the Kim Porter memoir?"
Not yet.
I have not. I have not, but I'm thinking about doing that Kindle option. But I don't want to read the one that this guy wrote, right? I want to read the other one that's supposed to be the 60-page, the one that's supposed to be the real one. I want to read that one.
Yeah.
But maybe I should read all of them so I can get an idea of what they're talking about. All right. Electric Lady 369 is back. Why didn't she come out with her case at the same time as Cassie? All right. We talked about that with the timing of her. All right, everybody. This is a part of the show where we issue our verdicts on the cases that we covered. First up, Kim Porter's kids. They're suing the writer of the book, Jamal, which is not his real name, is Jamal T. Millwood, guilty or not guilty for misrepresenting Kimberly A. Porter in Kim's lost words. Attorney Ashley Valenzuela.
I'll say yes. I haven't seen
Yes.
anything otherwise.
That Jamal is guilty.
Yes.
All right, guilty. Shatan Turner, is Jamal T. Millwood guilty or not guilty?
Remember, Attorney Redwine told us that ain't even his real name. He's some white boy with a white boy name trying to be black in the book. So that alone puts him under suspicion. He is guilty.
Guilty. All right. Brian Ross.
He's not guilty. He's not guilty.
All
the
right.
the publisher has a duty here too. So if they flush this out, knowing it was going to be perfect timing, he's not guilty.
My name is Al Reynolds, and I am the judge here in the Court of Public Opinion, and I'm going to find Jamal T. Millwood guilty. Guilty as charged, only because in the Court of Public Opinion, he did something really nasty, something underhanded, and I don't like how it went down. You could tell that he definitely got legal advice because he says by Jamal T. Millwood for Kimberly A. Porter. So he's not purporting that he got the information from her, right? So it seems like he's been talking to someone about how to put this out to get the PR, but also to protect himself legally. Next up, Yo Gotti. Is Yo Gotti guilty or not guilty for being associated with the death of young Dolph? This is really important. Attorney Shatan Turner, what say you?
Guilty.
Ooh, that's a big statement. Attorney Ashley Valenzuela, guilty, not guilty? Yo Gotti's guilty. Oh, we got 2 out of 4. All right, Attorney Brian Ross, is Yo Gotti guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty. It's too coincidental, but not guilty.
All right, I'm Al, and I'm serving as a judge here in the Court of Public Opinion. And I don't know. I think in the Court of Public Opinion, Yo Gotti, everybody's looking at you side eye. We're going to find you guilty as it relates to the Court of Public Opinion. You got a little bit of imaging to do. You got a little PR cleaning up to do, because with all the beefing and all the shooting before, how interesting is it that your brother decided to broker a deal for your enemy's death? It's very suspect. All right, next up, Freddie Lee Throne. Is he guilty or not guilty for killing PNB Rock? Attorney Ashley Valenzuela, is he guilty or not guilty for putting his son up to it?
I said it last time. He's still guilty today.
All right, Attorney Shatan Turner, is he guilty or not guilty?
Oh, is he guilty or not guilty of the murder, or is he guilty or not guilty
Right.
of the fool?
Of the murder.
Okay, the murder. Okay. No, he's not guilty. I'm
All right, Attorney Brian Ross, is he guilty or
Man,
not
he
guilty?
he is guilty. You sent your kid in there. You had an idea. He already had a gun charge. He's already on probation. You knew what he was capable of. You're
He
guilty.
was
Go to
hungry.
jail.
That's why he sent that boy in there.
They do have some. They do have some good. They do
All
have
right,
some good burgers.
I'm Hal, the judge here in the court of public opinion. The court of public opinion, Freddie, I hate to say it, but you're guilty. You're guilty. You're guilty of taking advantage of your learning needs, or I'm not sure the proper term. I don't want to misterm anybody. What did you say it was called, Brian? What?
IEP.
Intentional inflection of a notion of what I say IEP. Yeah, an individual
IEP.
education plan.
I think
Individual
you're
education
guilty of taking advantage of your son's disability. Let's put it that way, disability.
plan. Yeah.
And you too should be held responsible because you helped coordinate it. You took him to the site. Now, whether he did what you said or not, something in the milk ain't clean, and you need to go to prison until we figure it out. All right, next up, Supreme Court. Are they guilty or not guilty for throwing our African-American Marcellus Williams to the electric chair or injection? Are they guilty or not guilty, Ashley?
It's the new Jim Crow. They're guilty.
Ooh,
All right, Attorney
ooh.
Brian Ross, are they guilty or not guilty?
Missouri, home of the 3/5 man compromise. They are guilty.
Attorney Shatan Turner, are they guilty or not guilty?
They are very guilty.
All right, this is Al Reynolds in the court of public opinion. And guys, this is why we have to vote. Did you forget that this Supreme Court, the majority were made up by Donald Trump? If you want to continue to see these type of rulings that are not going to benefit our community, you got to vote and make changes. Let's get to the polls this November, everybody. You got to vote. I'm finding the Supreme Court guilty of not protecting the rights of our citizens of the United States of America. Last up, P. Diddy. I don't know what to say. P. Diddy's back in the court of public opinion. The public opinion, Ashley, is he guilty or not guilty of raping this lady, Thalia?
He's guilty.
Attorney Shatan Turner, guilty or not guilty?
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna have a paddle whenever Diddy stuff comes up and just hold it guilty, because that is always the answer.
Attorney Brian Ross, I'm not trying to be funny, but if the sentiment of the country in these cases is guilty, what does that speak to his defense when they go to trial?
It makes it very hard to find a jury that doesn't believe he's guilty when they walk in that room for jury panel selection. It makes it very difficult to do.
Is that good or bad? Because in some instances, that's pretty good.
You're gonna have to have a panel of the Amish, right, Attorney Ross?
I mean,
Like,
you have to have people who never watch TV. I
Yeah.
mean, that jury selection is. Anyone here know who my client is? Yes. Anyone who doesn't know who my client is? No. Anyone here who has not heard anything about him? Anyone who has? What have you heard? That will it affect your ability to be fair and impartial?
Wow.
anybody here know what you do with 1,000 bottles of baby oil?
All right, Attorney Ross, is he guilty? Is Diddy guilty? Is Diddy
in the
guilty?
court of public opinion, he is guilty.
Guilty. All right, I'm Al, the judge here in the court of public opinion. And unfortunately, Diddy, we're going to find you guilty. That woman's testimony, that woman's press conference was very convincing to me. She was crying, she was snotting, she couldn't get her thoughts together. It was almost like she was reliving everything that was done to her. I don't know. This is looking ugly, but thanks again, Algorators, for joining me tonight here on Hump Day Wednesday here in the Court of Public Opinion. Don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to hit that subscribe and share button. Don't forget to turn on your notifications. And as always, thank you for all your comments and your questions. We'll see you on Friday. Court is now adjourned.